Cal head coach Lindsay Gottlieb and student athletes Asia Thomas and Christina Nigle. If you would begin with a opening statement, please.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for sticking it out all day. We're excited to be here. I guess we're wrapping it up. I'll start briefly with a quick overview of where our team is. It's really fun to go to practice every day. I'll back it up to last spring when we had our first meeting after the end of last season. And those of you who've watched us play, come the end of the season, we feel like we can roll out the balls and compete with anyone, and any given day beat people, which is a great quality. But what I did was sort of tell them, put up the analytics and the stats of all 16 teams that were in the Sweet 16, and I said, actually, we don't belong in this company yet. From a statistical level, we weren't day in and day out as good as those teams, and so let's embrace the grind every single day from now until next season so that we can bring our swagger and our confidence to say we can play with anyone, but also have the ability of having worked every single day to believe that when the ball goes up, that's where we belong, that we expect to win, not we can win. And I think the team has really bought into that notion. They practice with a different energy every day. It's been really fun. I will briefly talk about these two. They've been starters for 3 years, heading into their 4th year. Their first season, they both had stellar individual accomplishments, but we weren't good enough as a team. I think at that time, the cool thing might have been to leave or go find success elsewhere, but beyond being committed to the Cal degree, they were committed to me and our program, and I just think we have a chance to have a really special year because everyone in our program wants to win for them and what they've done for us. Add to that a couple new players, in particular Mackenzie Forbes, a dynamic freshman who just kind of does a little bit of everything. And our first grad transfer, Rasay Caldwell, who changes the air in a room when she walks in it. I think we have a lot of right pieces to have a special year, and that's what I want for these two young women sitting here and for our program. Lastly, I will say our opener is on November 6th. A lot of you are here now, so I hope you can get to the game that day, but more importantly, and I think every coach should be telling their players, vote on that day first. It's November 6th. We should all show up and vote, especially women, and then start the NCAA season. So just my shout out for that. So go vote and then come see us play on November 6th.
Would also like to introduce Cal SID MC Barrett. And so now we'll open it up to questions. From media, please remember to identify yourself and wait for a microphone before asking a question. First one here.
Jim McGill, BearInsider.com. Lindsay, you've had teams in recent years where maybe there was a lot of youth on the team, maybe short bench, short on depth. This year it seems like the pieces are kind of all coming together. Do you feel like with these first few weeks of practice, you see a team that can really compete for a Pac-12 championship this year?
I do. I can think these guys would say something like, we're coming different. Is that how you say it? It feels different. I've said we have a chance to be really good. That doesn't guarantee anything, but it puts you in the conversation. I think it's our most depth and capable pieces since the Final Four team. I think that team, as I can see Leja sitting here, would tell you had also a really special focus and chemistry. I think this team, in their own way, is reminiscent just in terms of every single day wanting to show up for one another. But yes, we do have depth. We do have veteran leadership and youth. And I think that's the formula. I think layering kind of different pieces and different classes together often gives you the chance at having a winning team. I think we have those things. And I think our aspirations are those of a championship and to really be one of the top teams in the country.
Ben Parker, GoldenBearReport.com. This is a question for both Aisha and Christine. Just talk about what it's like being seniors now on this team. And just kind of, is there any additional kind of pressure? I talked to Lindsay during lunch, but is there any additional pressure you guys are feeling in order for senior year to kind of get over that hump and make a deeper run in the tournament than you have before?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the first question?
Oh, just like how excited are you guys to finally be seniors? What is it like to be seniors on this team? And then just, given it's your last year, do you feel any additional kind of pressure to make a deep run in the tournament knowing this is your last shot?
I think we're excited to be seniors. It's been a long journey. We've been through a lot. I think now we feel, like Coach G said, we have the pieces to do something special this year. And I think we're excited about that. I mean, we're ready to get this thing going. I'm sorry, but we're excited with our team dynamics, how we feel personally, individually, trying to get our bodies right, our minds right for a long season that we're trying to prepare for. But yeah, excitement is probably one of the few words that we're feeling right now.
Kevin Dan at pack-12.com. Coach, congratulations on getting married over, I guess it was about a month ago or so. Just what stands out to, obviously, big day. What stands out to you? What was it like for you to have, it looked like the whole team was there, and then for Asia and Christine, what stands out to you about that day and being at your coach's wedding?
Well, thank you. I can tell you that I was never the young person dreaming about a wedding growing up. I was thinking about other things, ball movement and offenses and that kind of stuff. But when it came around, I think I've been pretty open that this team has always been part of my family. And so when Patrick and I chose to do a wedding, it was an absolute no-brainer that we were going to include the team. They are our family, not just my family, Patrick's family too. And I wanted to have it be less about look at us or this is about us and more about a celebration of our family, including our son Jordan and the people that are really important to us. And so it was beyond my wildest dreams having the team there. They were part of it. They were with all the other important people in our lives as well. And it was just unbelievably special. And that's something with this team, I think I'll have that particular bond with, for the rest of my life.
I like how you were showing that ring off too. But it was definitely a special day. And I'm happy that everybody on our team decided to come and, experience this celebration for her. And as much as she puts effort into us, we wanted to be there for her and her new journey as well. So it was definitely an emotional day. But we had fun too. We have our dancing going as well. She wanted that. She wanted to incorporate that. So
adding on, it felt like a movie. Like when I saw Lindsay and she's wearing those beautiful shoes that she wore for her wedding, and I saw her and I kind of gasped super loud and got teary eyed because that's my mom. I look up to her as my mentor. I was just so it's weird. This is my last time I'm gonna be here in front of you guys on this stage with Lindsay and TZ. So I don't know. I'm getting so emotional just because that wedding brings back so many memories, different memories, feelings, the vibe, the music, the laugh. Jordan playing in the dirt while she's doing her vows. It's just that's how our team feels. Though that's just one part of our family, of our team. And it was cool, this year, Lindsay decides that she wants us to be in her wedding, and then you see, that's just a small part, and yeah, excited.
Ladies, Lindsay referenced presenting you with all the analytics of the Sweet 16 teams. Was that this spring during the tournament? And what, were you in your meeting room downstairs and it was up on the big screen? And just maybe could you take me through that and what did that do to sort of show you how far you can come to reach that level and maybe what was that like when she did that?
For me, it's I was it's not luck. Me and TZ, we have experience now. Seeing that made me realize we have to get better. It's not one game, it's not one practice, it's a whole entire season, starting from off season. So it's our off season, we started off just new and fresh, and that's what really kept us going. Now we're still fresh, we're still feeling new, every practice feels different, and that's what we're just gonna keep going throughout the season.
Were there numbers all over? What did it look like?
a lot of numbers. And I know as for me as a basketball player, I don't really look at numbers too much. I just really try to work on my mental and my skill set. But seeing those numbers on the wall or on the board is very important. Everything you do contributes to just being successful. and I didn't really realize that. So I'm paying attention to the little things as well as, wins and losses are very big, but shooting percentage, rebounding percentage, and all of those that go into it, it makes me really just dial into what I need to do or what we need to do as for the team to be successful.
And Janie, just to talk about that for a second, first thing is, a lot of you know MC, you know how good she is. I think I use her in this role differently than some coaches. I said, MC, this is the message I want to get across to the team, and I talked about some things. Can you help me with a visual presentation of that? And her ability to kind of take my basketball thought and put it into like a PowerPoint was pretty cool. And also, a lot of you know I'm sort of relentlessly positive, and so at a time when maybe the players expected, not in a bad way, but for me to come in, it was the end of the season and say, okay, like we can do this, like we can be this team next year. I sort of said, let's check ourselves. We're not there. We weren't there yet, and I wanted to motivate them in a different way. And actually, Kiana Smith, our sophomore, said to me just the other day as we've been going through practice, remember that slideshow? We need to look at that again. Just to kind of remind ourselves of, are we doing the little things every day? Because I will put our players up in a competitive standpoint against anyone. Like, game is on the line, I'll put the ball in this kid's hands and have Christine be out there, and I don't worry about our ability in a big game situation to rise up and try and compete. But what I wanted them to understand is it's the day-to-day grind that separates you, actually, and it's sort of the stuff that happens behind closed doors a little bit.
Hey, you don't know me. Leisure Pac-12 Networks. For the players, can you talk about, I'm assuming you both want to play professionally in some capacity when you're done. How do you balance staying present in the moment, but like checking draft boards, or am I going to go in the first round? Is my stock rising or falling? Like, talk about kind of those emotions going in, knowing like this is the last ride.
I can go first. At this point, I'm really not thinking about it, but I know eventually I would have to. But I'm really just trying to stay in the present moment. When that time comes where it's like, okay, this is where you need to pay attention to it, I'll go to it. But definitely the anxiety is hitting, of not knowing where my future is going to be. Of course, I want to prepare for that as best as I can, but I can't predict what's going to happen. So I try to keep that to a minimum, the anxiety to a minimum.
Going off of that, for me, I don't really believe in draft boards or preseason predictions because it's somebody else's opinion, and what my opinion that I have for myself might be different than someone else's opinion of me. Therefore, I don't believe in that, and of course, it's motivating and it's not real. So I'm just excited for our team. I really want to win. I really want to go far in the tournament. I want a Pac-12 championship. I want to do big things. So I'm not really worried about where I land. I want this season to be for us.
Hi guys, Ann again with the Pac-12 Networks. Coach, the depth you talked about with this roster, yay. And then a guard-heavy roster, how you've been able to use your guards to complement players like Anigwe. So help us understand your philosophy with this year's batch of guards, and also how did the Caldwell situation present itself, and how are you able to get her to Cal, or how did she pursue that from her end?
Sure. Well, to talk about the positional thing first, I think I would say that we have more skilled guards that can do a variety of things than in recent years. At times, a lot of times, I think we'll have 3 players on the floor who are point guard types, right? Meaning that they can score, pass, facilitate, and that's a good thing, right? Back when Leisure played, we played 2 WNBA point guards together at the same time, and that was really effective for us because people can't, game plan as well for that. In addition, with the multiple guards, we've been able to take some of our big guards and play them at the 4 spot. So Jayla Brown, who jumps over the backboard to get rebounds, can play the 4 spot, or Mackenzie Forbes, who's a little bit bigger and just really savvy So we've been able to do some things where we can get 4 guards on the court at once, and at the same time, you know, besides Christine, we have post depth with someone like a CJ West, who is, you know, pretty, you know, formidable in her own right, or, you know, Alasia Styles, who's more of a true post player. So we can do a number of different things trying to get those various guards on the floor in different capacities. And at the end of the day, just having more players who can make shots and make plays spreads the floor out. I think we will have more offensive fluidity than we have in a while. In terms of Versailles, you know, I'm very intentional with recruiting. It's not like we recruit all the good players out there. It's not like we go after every transfer. I try to think about who fits. And so, you know, I've known Versailles for a long time, since she was probably 8th or 9th grade. She didn't come to us the first time, and that's okay. You know, you want players to find their paths, but when she decided that she was going to, you know, graduate from Texas Tech and decide to do a 5th year as a grad transfer year, I think we were on her radar right away because we had a relationship already. And I think her decision was not about this 1 year, although with a grad transfer, you have to be so we're bringing someone in for a year, and she's only gonna be here for a year, and it has to be the right fit. There isn't a lot of time to grow with someone. So the year is important, but I think she was making a decision for 40 years and talked to me about, you know, personally how I could help get her to the next thing that she might want to do. I think, you know, she could be the first female GM in the NBA, and I want to help her get there. She wants to play overseas. I want to help her get there. We talked about playing with these two and making a deep run in the tournament. So there were a lot of, I think, high-level conversations that happened. And it's funny because she's only been here for a month or two, but sometimes I'll look at her and say, how have you not been here for 4 years? It's so seamless, right? And then on the court, she is, you know, you have Mackenzie Forbes coming in, who is really talented and a normal freshman. You know, you're a freshman, you're trying to figure out how to get to class and eat and get there. And Versailles is a grown woman, you know, who's telling us what to do. It's different, right? So I think it's been a really interesting to see those two newcomers just from different, you know, diametric experiences, but both have really fit in so well. And it's a credit to the returners, because we could have thrown, I think, anyone in the mix now, and they're so solid, they're ready to welcome anyone, but both of those two young women have made incredible impacts in a short time.
I got it, sorry. Okay. Hi, Lindsay. Joan Bomassini from Pac-12 Networks. Congratulations again on the wedding. It's very interesting listening to you two, just your maturity the last few years, how you've grown and your confidence. I'm impressed. You can tell you have very good energy, what's going on here. Okay, and the confidence, but you talk specifically, and it's really important, about what you learned in the spring from the other teams. So Asia, for both of you, what do you guys have to do specific, because you talk numbers here, right? What part of your game do you have to improve on, okay, individually, and what part of your game as a team has to improve so that when you're looking up, people are looking at you next time?
Personally, I would say, like I said, I'm not a numbers person, so I'm not trying to have necessarily a double-double every game.
Right.
I'm not trying to have just a statistical number every game. That's not my goal. Whatever I can do consistently that's going to help the team, that's what I'm going to do. Scoring, getting steals, assisting the ball, rebounds, however, if I get them, jump up and get them, whatever. But I think it's just being intentional with everything that I do. So whatever I need to do, whether it's being vocal, that's what I need to do consistently. So that's pretty much for my goal of being that player who wants their team to go far in the tournament.
Ironically, I am a numbers person, so for 3 years I've been like, one more game, one more rebound, one more finish, we could have won the game. And now I'm like, Christine, stay in the present. Stop thinking about numbers, start thinking about like time as just being relative, like again, being intentional. I just want to stay in the moment and just realize that, okay, this is my first practice of this season, and I just want to have fun, and I want to be light, I want to be fresh, I want to be happy. And that's why I've really been focusing on this summer, just staying in the present, staying in the moment, and not thinking too far ahead, not thinking about the next day, thinking about today. I'm going to finish my midterm after this interview, and just kind of staying day to day. And what TZ, well, Asia, as you guys know her, said, just being intentional.
And with the numbers that I showed him, it wasn't numbers up there to say, okay, we should be focused more on this category, that category, but more to show that if we want to finish in the top 16 or 10 or 8 or 4 teams, there are categories that happen all year that make you elite. It's not winning one game. And so I wanted to actually show them that being present and being in the moment every day in practice matters, because now all of a sudden we have more points per possession, or we have more defensive rebounds, or we're not just hoping to win in March, we have set ourselves up where we're supposed to win.
We got time for one more question.
Cheryl Coward, WhoFeed.com. Since you guys first met with the media a few weeks ago, Coach, especially you stressed increased depth and the ability to hold full practices all the time, or better practices. Since then, with the newcomers, especially Rasay, have you had any positive surprises or things that you've noticed that you weren't aware of before to, and help the team? Things that you just, weren't aware of.
That's a really good question. So we've had 10 practices, with the days off in between and all that kind of thing. So I'm really being diligent about cutting our time off. We're not practicing very long. This is a team I think that can go far postseason. As Christine referenced, I want them fresh. I want them feeling good. Sometimes more is not always more. I'm very particular about that. So I think we've accomplished what I've wanted to accomplish every practice. The things that stand out, because I think we spoke before we started real practice, the enthusiasm level and the focus level is, I think, exceptional. They're able to adjust on the fly in practice when I change something, when I get on them, when I want something better. I think we've seen more guards who can do more things. So I don't, have to design, hey, you cut here to get the ball here, to get it to Christine right in this spot. We're just like, okay, play, make the right read, make the right basketball play. And I think we've seen that fluidity come through. I'll give you an example from yesterday. We were scrimmaging our male practice squad, and I had done several subs, several rotations, and so there was a group in that, at the end of the game, at the end of the scrimmage, did not include Asia and did not include Christine, for example. And I called a timeout and I said, okay, let's run a play. I said, I'm not subbing anyone in. You 5 right here, let's make a play. And so I kind of ran the thing through Rasay. I said, you can do option 1, option 2, you can make this read. And we go through and we make a shot. And I don't know in the past if I had these 2 out, if we'd have felt confident just to run something, in a last second situation. So that's an example of the team being a little bit different. Just the maturity level, I don't think we've had too many bad moments in practice. I'm not saying we're perfect, we don't make every shot all the time, but in terms of the feel of practice, it's been at a higher level consistently. I do think they're taking advantage of every moment like we've been asking them to.
Practice last week, and what you just said is a lot of what Steve Kerr is doing right now with a more veteran team. The younger players are practicing early on their own a little bit. Did you two just have a chance to discuss practice philosophy, or did you share that with him, or vice versa, or are these just separate ideas?
So I was there last week, and he's always super gracious with his time and asks me how we're doing all the time, and I'm like, you're the Warriors, that's Kevin Durant, like you want to talk about my team? But it's funny, we were talking about training camp, and he is a less is more kind of guy. We talked about how long their season went and how you keep people fresh. So I would say I'm sort of more aligned with that type of philosophy anyway. But in particular this year, the NCAA moved the practice thing up where you can practice 42 days before your first game, and they moved the first game up, So exciting that's November 6th, Election Day, where we'll all be voting and then going to the game. But other than that, it's too long, right? Like I don't want, young people need to be excited, they need to be fresh, they need to feel a certain way in February when we're on a trip to Pullman. And so for me to grind them out now because I want one more rep or one more possession doesn't make sense to me. So it's nice validation to see that that's what, the Warriors are about. Obviously they have different, system going on, but we want to make sure that we are thinking about their bodies, thinking about their minds all the time. It's not just what they can give me, but what I can give them to be, as fresh and ready for the whole season as possible. So it's neat to see that alignment with the Warriors as well.